Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to another video, man. Listen, this is another educational video for me, man. This is about the biggest lie in Sikhism, man. I already read the book of the life of Guru Nanak. Let me show you guys. Show you guys proof. You guys can see it. I already read this book. I finished it from first page all the way to the last page, man, because I was very interested in just learning about the religion. You know what I'm saying? That he was a Hindu who just didn't want to be put in a caste system. He's like, nah, everybody should be the same. But anyways, man, this is the biggest lie in Sikhism. And yeah, I want to learn. This channel is called Nanak Nam.
Do not be fooled by what everybody has told you. People have deceived you time and time again. And they kept saying, if you don't learn this language, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong if you don't know how to say it. If you don't pronounce it the right way, you're doing it wrong. Somebody up there in the sky is gonna do something wrong. This is not true. It's very, very important that what you're doing is something that you understand. If you don't understand the language of the Guru, then use your language. It's okay. You don't have to stand up and do ardas in a foreign language if you don't understand it. By all means, try and learn the language if you can. But this is not something that's meant to be difficult for you. I want you to just think about this for a moment. When Guru Nanak was around, all spiritual wisdom in India was limited to one language, and that was Sanskrit. In fact, it was frowned upon for anybody to teach spiritual wisdom in any other language. What did Guru Nanak do? He said, I'm going to take this to every person in every corner of the world. Yeah. And in every corner of...
I remember that when I was reading the book, I read that he traveled from north to south, east to west, just spreading Sikhism around every single part of the world, every single country, the mountains, to the Lord, like he was everywhere. He was everywhere for sure. I read that book. He went from all four corners. That's why they have a building where, what's that building called? I forgot what the building is called. Where is it the golden? I think it's the Golden Temple, where there's like four. I might be wrong. All I know is that there's like east, like north, south, east, west, like things that are open. You know what I'm saying? I'm confused. I forgot. My memory is bad. It's been a minute.
Of the world that he went to, he spoke in their language. If you look at the Guru Granth Sahib, there are multiple languages in there. It isn't one language. Now the question is, if Guru Nanak Dev Ji comes to Australia, what language would he speak? Would he tell you, I've got something amazing to tell you, but first you've got to learn my language? No. That's not how he did it. He said, I need to tell you something. It's going to change your life. What language do you speak here? I'll do it in your language. And so what he did was he wrote songs in their language because he knew that the songs were the way that you could transform your thinking. So the question is, where is the Kirtan in English? Where is the Gurbani in English? In your language.
My language.
Understanding
big man thing, bro. He said my language. Hey, man, listen, I'm trying to learn Punjabi. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Is the Gurbani in English, in your language? Understanding the principles of what the Guru was trying to teach is far more important than feeling guilty about, I don't know how to do this language. So, as long as you don't know the Guru's language, do it in English. It is so powerful for you to every day read the Bani in the language of your own thoughts. Because I always ask people, what is the language that you think in when you're having a dialogue? You know, some of us, we speak multiple languages, but what is the language that you think in? What is the language that you dream in? That's the language. Use that. Do not be fooled by what everybody has told you. People have deceived you time and time again, and they kept saying, if you don't learn this language, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong if you don't know how to say it. If you don't pronounce it the right way, you're doing it wrong. Somebody up there in the sky is gonna do something wrong. This is not true. They don't know how to connect, and they don't know how to connect you. Guru Nanak doesn't tell you, learn my language. He says, Just start to change the way you think. Let me do it in whatever. The Guru's trying to make your life so much easier. And we've made it so complicated. Now, I'm not telling you don't learn the Guru's language, because the Guru's Bani, I can't tell you, is phenomenally beautiful. It is so wonderful to hear this poetry. And it's taken a long time for me to, look, I wasn't brought up speaking Punjabi in my house. English is my first language, ever has been since a child. And I had...
What? Whoa, hold on. I did not even know that. Bro, for real? So we're in the same boat, fam. Me and you in the same boat, low key. You know what I'm saying? English is my second language.
Don't learn the Guru's language, because the Guru's Bani, I can't tell you, is phenomenally beautiful. It is so wonderful to hear this poetry. And it's taken a long time for me to, look, I wasn't brought up speaking Punjabi in my house.
Really?
English is my first language, ever has been since a child. And I had to learn the language of Guru Granth Sahib. I still struggle to speak Punjabi, but I understand Kirtan probably better than I understand some poetry in Punjabi. If you give me a Punjabi newspaper or you put on the news channel, I'll probably struggle. But you give me a Shabad of Gurbani, I can start to do it. Why? Because I've spent time committing to learning that. And I'll give you a simple technique that I think has worked very well for me in order to start learning that language, in order to start really bringing that message in. What I would usually do is, when I go to work, and you know how you open your emails and you start doing all those things, I would dedicate 5 minutes before I checked my emails. And what I would do is I would go on to the Hukamnama of the day. You know what that is? That's where the holy reading of the Guru Granth Sahib. Every day there's a new verse that's read at the Golden Temple at Harmandir Sahib. And I would go and read that, and then I would read the translation. And what I would start to do is I would start to doing word mapping. I would say that word there means this word in English. That word there means this word. So hukam, that means command. Shabad, that means word. And slowly, every day, just by spending 5 minutes, I started to build a glossary of the Guru's words in my mind. I started to understand the vocabulary. So now, when I'm listening to Shabads, I'm not saying that it's perfect for me. Even now, I use the apps. And I open a Shabad. If a Hukamnama is coming, if Kirtan is coming, I'm reading it in English. Because I don't want to sit there and be frustrated thinking this sounds really nice, but I have no idea what it's saying. And we're so lucky with technology these days. You can have the Guru Granth Sahib in your own language on your phone right now. And so we have access to a lot of these tools. So it's amazing that you're saying that I don't connect with it, because that's a really important question. But what I would do with that is, I wouldn't want you to feel guilty about that. I would want you to ask yourself, what does connect me? How am I connecting? How can I connect even more? And then use that, connect. Your connection is the most important thing. If you sit there for 45 minutes or an hour every morning just reading words that you don't understand, Guru Nanak might as well have given you the words in Sanskrit. He said, well, people don't understand this language anyway. And the way I'd like you to think about this. William Shakespeare. I don't know if you ever studied Shakespeare in school. I couldn't make heads or tails of it. English is my first language. I have no idea what Shakespeare is talking about. But when Shakespeare wrote his plays, he wrote it in the common man's language.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, that is true. Because when I was in high school, man, in English class, they made us read that Shakespeare thing. Man, the word thou, shall, thy, thee, ye. I'm like, bro, what are you talking about, fam? This is not English. This is old English, fam. Like, that it was so confusing for me. It's like I was lost. I always got a bad grade in English, man. It's like, it's English, but it's not English. It's too old.
First language, I have no idea what Shakespeare is talking about. But when Shakespeare wrote his plays, he wrote it in the common man's language. So at the time, it was for poor, uneducated people. He would go in different places and he would perform his plays, and it was for the common man. 500 years later, the language has now changed, so we can't understand what Shakespeare is saying. Guess what? Guru Granth Sahib is also a 500-year-old language. So Guru Granth Sahib has now become the Shakespeare. Guru Nanak was trying to make it in everyday people's language. But now, 500 years later, it's become difficult for us to understand. Imagine what's going to happen in another 500 years. It's going to become a Sanskrit that nobody understands. So you've got two options. One is start understanding the language so that you don't lose this connection with Guru Nanak's words. And secondly, in the meantime, start connecting with in your own way, because ultimately the message is telling you to connect, connect, connect. And so don't feel guilty. Don't feel guilty about doing it in English. Don't feel guilty about connecting. And it doesn't matter what anybody else tells you, because your guru is saying, connect. I want you to feel this. I want you to fall in love with this. And whatever language that helps you to fall in love with this wisdom, to fall in love with the peace, tranquility, the beauty that Guru Nanak has available to you, do that. Prioritize connecting first, and as a secondary, start prioritizing trying to learn how to learn this, to do this, because there is a limit with the language. With the translations, you're never going to get the real beauty of what the guru is saying. So it's kind of a two-pronged approach. Don't use that as a way not to connect now. Connect now in your language, but also build up your skills so that you can fall in love with the guru's language, because that's, for the crude phrase that we have in the UK, it's from the horse's mouth, right? That's where you're actually hearing it in the real language that it comes from.
Hey man, respect to this guy, man. Nanak Nam. In the past, a lot of people told me, "Oh, gee, you should go to Gurudwara," And I'll be honest with you, fam. There's a Gurudwara 30 minutes away from where I live, and I'm scared to go because I'm not ready. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not ready. I just don't want to show up out of nowhere and just, you know what I'm saying? It's a whole new thing that I don't, like, it's low-key scary. It's scary, bro. It is scary. Like, people don't understand. It is scary, man.